If you want to negotiate well, you'll have to understand Nash equilibrium, and it'll be very easy to understand and remember after these examples. I once had two job offers on the table at the same time. One company raised their offer to match the other. And at that point, if either company raised their offer, it would have put the business in a bad situation. And so neither of them should have raised in order to get me to choose them. So how can I make a choice when neither of them can sweeten the deal? This is where Nash equilibrium comes into play, and where you have to think about other factors. When you don't understand Nash equilibrium, you're going to face a lot of uncertainty and anxiety when decisions are left in other people's hands. Without understanding this, you're likely to choose things that leave a lot of value on the table without even realizing it. So, what if you could always know the best decision to make even when success lies in someone else's hands? To give you a definition, a Nash equilibrium happens when all players in a game make decisions to where no one player can actually benefit by changing only their strategy. This example made it really clear for me. Imagine two ice cream stands on opposite ends of a very busy beach. If one of them moves closer to the center of the busy area, they're going to capture more customers and they'll do better than the other stand. But then the other stand moves closer to the center too, so they can capture more customers. But once they're side by side in the center of the busy area, they're fully optimized. Neither of them will actually benefit by moving away. That central spot is their Nash equilibrium. To give you a very real-world example, think about gas stations. Gas stations very often cluster around a very busy intersection rather than spreading evenly across town, because all gas stations in that area benefit most by being in that spot, even though they're in competition with one another. Anything that can be reduced to math should be. And so here's how you can think about this mathematically. Nash equilibrium is when player A's strategy is greater than or equal to any alternative strategy that they could have when in competition with player B's strategy, and vice versa. When there's no strategy that could benefit, you have reached Nash equilibrium and full optimization. In competition, Nash equilibrium always happens in competition. Okay, you understand it. Now, why does this matter? Understanding Nash equilibrium helps you predict outcomes more accurately, so you can make better strategic decisions rather than just relying on hope. So in a relationship, this can help you negotiate household responsibilities. At work, if you're competing with coworkers for a promotion, this can help you. And in your own personal development, it can help you decide how much you should compete versus collaborate. To apply this directly to your life, think about a salary negotiation. You want both the employer and the employee to give a fair offer and a fair acceptance of that offer. You want to pick a spot where neither directly benefits from changing their stance. If I ask for too much of a company, sure, I get paid more, but it's going to be harder for that company to keep me employed. So that's not real benefit. And if the company underpays me, then I'm not going to stick around for very long. You can also apply Nash equilibrium to traffic flow. To achieve Nash equilibrium, drivers should choose their route based on the expectation of where other drivers will be. That way, traffic doesn't get congested in one spot. Modern mapping systems like Google Maps do this constantly. And this even applies to dating. Specifically, when you're choosing how much to reveal your feelings based on the accepted reciprocation that you're going to get back. You want to balance openness with caution. So why don't most people think this way already? Intuition leads you astray. Most people intuitively react overly defensive or overly cooperative without analyzing how their choices influence or depend on other people's decisions. Your intuition will lead you astray in outcomes where you lose out unnecessarily or don't fully optimize what you could get from a situation. A better way is to think about Nash equilibrium. Analyze all mutual outcomes before you act. This will lead to more strategic choices that optimize your benefit based on realistic predictions. To apply this right now, here's a step-by-step process. First, identify all players involved in this decision and all of their possible choices. Then clearly list out all possible outcomes based on the possible choices each player could make, every combination. Then you can identify the outcomes where no player can benefit further by changing their position. And then you'll choose your action based on trying to reach that equilibrium. There are a few common pitfalls to using Nash equilibrium, so I want to go through those right now so that you know what to avoid. Be careful that you don't misidentify a scenario as competitive, where Nash equilibrium helps, rather than seeing it as cooperative, when cooperation might actually yield a better result. This is when you confuse Nash equilibrium with the prisoner's dilemma. You can also over-apply this concept in scenarios where people are going to be emotional or irrational. It does not work when people aren't acting rationally, and oftentimes humans are irrational even when reason is important. And so my final thought to leave you with is that when everyone knows the best move, the smartest one is the one that no one wants to change.